Hi everyone, for tonight's Nightcap and review, I'm having water, and tonight I'll be discussing Blood of My Blood by Sonia Blade. This is a book I received as an ARC, and of course I'm giving my honest opinion, and unfortunately I did have to DNF this at 200 pages, which came out to about 48% based on my Kindle. Now, if DNF reviews are not your cup of tea, that's okay, feel free to keep scrolling. I, however, believe all reviews are valid, and I would like to share my thoughts. The big reminder is that reading is objective, and not every book is for every reader, and this just may not have been the book for me, but if it sounds like something you're interested in, I strongly encourage you to give it a try for yourself, and I hope it's your next 5-star read. These are the highlights and the content warnings. So what's this book about? Now, because I didn't finish the book, I am going to read the synopsis straight from the Zon just so it's accurate. Jocelyn Fuentes is done playing it safe. After her engagement is broken off, she heads to the luxurious Avery Hotel determined to reclaim her independence and maybe indulge in a little fun. But a single night changes everything. She wakes in a pool of her own blood, her life stolen by an ancient true alpha vampire with a terrifying legacy. Saved by Reese, a mysterious but charismatic vampire, she is thrust into a shadowy underworld she never knew existed. Now Jocelyn must balance her new existence as a protege under Reese's lordship while concealing the truth from her human family, all while bound to a paranormal reality where vampires wield powers that defy comprehension and alliances can mean life or eternal death. She's caught between the deadly influence of Dom, her tormentor, and Reese, the one who saved her. As she struggles to master her newfound abilities, Jocelyn discovers the intricacies of vampire society and the intoxicating dangers of being a protege in a world where loyalty is as deadly as deceit. But in this underground world of brutes, mystics, paramours, and more, nothing is simple, least of all her newfound connection to an unexpected allies and her growing thirst for vengeance against the one who took her mortality. Torn between the fading echoes of her humanity and the dark vampiric vengeance burning in her veins, Jocelyn must decide if she'll rise as a force of her own or succumb to the forces threatening to consume her. But one thing is certain, in this world, survival demands sacrifice, and revenge may come at the ultimate cost. So what are my thoughts? Again, I did DNF this at 48%. Now, I do want to say some of the things I'm about to share may count as spoilers. I personally don't think so, but do keep that in mind. I also want to say I really enjoyed the premise of this book, and I really liked the female main character. I thought she was smart and engaging, and honestly, in a shit situation, just doing the best that she could. I was really cheering her on and wanting the best for her. But for me, it felt like the two characters that were there to support her were setting her up either intentionally or unintentionally for failure, or setting her up in ways to be made fun of that felt so unnecessary for me because it was due to their inaction, poor planning, or not explaining things in a proper amount of time. Now, some examples of that is you have Reese, who is the one who converted her. Now, after converting her, he needs to restore his blood supply. So he leaves thinking that she is not going to wake up. He leaves her in a bed that is soaked with her blood. He doesn't even take off the sheets and just leaves her on the bed. He leaves her on the bed covered in blood. But he thinks he's going to be back in time. Thing is, he's not. So she wakes up in a bed not knowing what's happened, covered in her blood, and that is traumatic. I feel like based on his influence, his classification, and his own support system, he did not necessarily need to leave, or at least he did not need to leave her alone. It just felt unnecessary. The next time they meet is at her apartment. He is trying to explain what has happened, but she is refusing to understand it because traumatic event, so she kicks him out. Now he says that she is soon going to need to feed or bad things are going to happen, so he is going to wait outside and wait for her for when she's ready to talk about it. But in that meantime, she gets so hungry she actually blacks out in the hallway and passes out. Now, also for Reese, at this time, he gets a phone call and needs to leave. So he calls a friend to come and watch her. But he does not wait for his backup to show up because once again, he thinks that she will not wake up in time, if he's even aware of that. But he doesn't think that she will exit her apartment in that time. But while he's gone, before the backup shows up, she does wake up, she does leave, and gets in a situation that did not need to happen if he had waited for his friend to show up. Finally, when she understands the situation and is being taken to a bar, he refuses to explain anything until after their experience at this bar, saying something along the lines of anything he tells her is going to be forgotten until she experiences this, or like it's just what is going to be happening here is so mind-blowing that he's just gonna have to explain it all again, which based on what happened, I didn't see anything mind-blowing. It all could have been explained beforehand and would have saved her from looking like a fool a couple times. At this point, she is less than 48 hours old and is hungry. So he takes her to a bar, and as they're walking through, she's smelling the blood and she's getting curious and wanting to explore. And at one time, he chastises her, like, you don't need to look up and try to explore every time you smell blood. I'm like, She is a baby vampire who is hungry. Of course, she's curious about everything that's going on and wanting to explore this. She's hungry. I know when I smell a burger and I'm hungry, I look around looking for a burger. Another situation is because they're there to get blood, he orders a Merlot. They're talking and engaging, and a bartender shows up with another person. But this person is looking down, for based on the description, and arms down, not engaging, while the bartender is talking to Reese. And she is just sitting there like, what is going on? Who is this person? Why is he here? So she turns to Reese and goes, what's going on? This man then turns to her like, you could ask me, I do talk. You can ask me questions. And she, like me, are like, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. And when I'm in that situation, I'm going to turn to the person who's there to help me and explain everything and ask questions. It felt unnecessary, especially because Reese goes, oh, well, she's new. And the guy goes, how new? Like, new? Like, they're making fun of her for not knowing and understanding the situation. It just felt so unnecessary. Now, I'm sure this is set it up to make her feel like an outsider, and also combined with her classification as a vampire, just to make her feel less than. And I'm sure, based on the foreshadowing that I saw in the book, that this is going to lead into a greater change where she evolves and becomes this powerful force going on. But for me, it just felt so unnecessary, all the situations she was being put in. I didn't want to read her being set up to fail so many times, especially with one of these guys being her love interest. That just didn't interest me to want to finish the story. So that's just all me stuff. For other readers, this may sound like a book you really want to try, and I strongly encourage you to give it a try for yourself. Just because this wasn't for me doesn't mean it won't be for you. This book will be available tomorrow, July 1st, and I hope you give it a try. It did have some really great characters that, again, I really did enjoy the female main character, and I really got emotional when she was trying to come to terms when it came to her family. I just couldn't deal with the lack of support from the people who were there to support her. So I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.